Hello. Is the camera weird or is that just, it looks like it's off kilter? There we go. Oh, wonderful. Hi and welcome. I'm Amanda and I'm at Battleground Games and Hobbies in Abington, Massachusetts. We are just south of Boston. Abington is where we stream from, but we also have two other stores. One in Saugus up north on Route 1 and one down south in Norton near the Xfinity Center. Abington happens to be where the streaming rig is and it's closest to where I live. So here I am. I'm so sorry. I've had a bit of a head cold, so I may be a little scratchy and I may have to cough or clear my throat every once in a while. I will try to cover my mic when I do that. We are working on the Highlander, the board game figures today. This is the Highlander board game, put out by River Horse. It is it's a really fun game, and I don't just say that because I love Highlander. If it had been a really bad game, I would be honest about it, because I actually I'm also working, and I may do this on stream if I finish with these guys today, which I probably will, because there's not much left to do with these two guys. I will continue working on the Dark Crystal, which is also a River Horse game. I have painted my copy of the Dark Crystal game. I did that ages ago, and we have a special event coming up. We are doing the Extra Life 25 hours of gaming, 25 hours because it's over daylight savings. So fall back, we add an hour. So in the wee small hours of the morning when we're all very disoriented and tired, it becomes like 2 a.m. again. So that's always fun. We're going to be doing giveaways. We're going to have raffles. If you donate, you get a raffle ticket, and you'll be able to put in your tickets for some really cool stuff. We've got some really great stuff coming up. One of our longtime friends of the stream and store, Jules, has put in a knitted blanket. It's really cool in Extra Life colors, which is really neat. It's a very soft blanket. It's very comfy. Or it's a scarf. It's so big you could drape it. We've got all sorts of fun stuff. We've got an amazing board game package that is a Kickstarted copy of Black Roses, donated by one of our friends at the store, John Toomey, who also streams with us on Friday nights. And John does board games with us on our Friday night streams. We stream board games every Friday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And John kickstarted this game and then realized it's so big and it's so gorgeous, and he probably wasn't going to get to play it enough to make it worth him holding on to it. He wants it to go to someone who will really appreciate it. So he has donated it as a raffle prize. It's so big. The figures are amazing. I don't have time to paint that, but I wish I did. So we have some really cool stuff planned, and I was sitting here thinking, well, what do I want to donate? What do I want to paint for a raffle? Last year I did the Fallout board game, and I was really pleased with how that came out, and really, really pleased with how what the response to it was, that people really seemed to enjoy that game and liked my painted figures, so that was really neat. So I was thinking, what can I do this year to, not to top it, but to sort of hit the same place. And I realized we had a copy of the Dark Crystal board game. It's not the best board game in the world, I'm going to be honest. It's not bad, but I do find the play of it is not, it's not my favorite mechanic. You go around and around and around the board, and you're trying to dig through a deck by doing different encounters so that you hit a card that is in the bottom third of the deck, and it could be anywhere in the bottom third, but you have a limited number of rounds. So I find the sort of delving into the deck part plus the limited number of rounds part to be a little tricky to balance. Dark Crystal does do a better job than Labyrinth in that you can adjust the difficulty by adding rounds. You can say, okay, we're going to make this a little easier by making it happen in like 15 rounds as opposed to 13 or whatever. It also has asymmetric play, which I really do like. I think it's a really neat idea. Unfortunately, when I played it, I was trying to control both Gelflings. For the Gelflings, it's co-op. If one of you wins, you both win. So one person can control both Gelflings and, you know, attempt to win. For the Skeksis, and there are 2 Skeksis, if you defeat the Gelflings, but you're not holding the Emperor's Scepter at the end, you lose. It doesn't matter if it was your move that made the Gelflings lose, you also lose. You want to have that scepter in hand. I find that really interesting, but there's also an attack deck that happens every round, and the Gelflings get attacked by like the Garthim or the Crystal Bats, and it's randomized, and I happened to hit like a couple of the worst attacks right at the beginning of the game, and it basically kept me from being able to do anything. I was in dire straits very early on, which was a real bummer. So I don't know. I think I'd want to play it again to really get a feel for it, and actually have 4 players. I think it was like 2 players eventually because the people we were playing with had to go. So, the figures, on the other hand, are beautiful. The game itself is beautifully made. The board is gorgeous. All the parts are beautiful. The figures are amazing. So I can show you the figures because we will probably work on these. Whoa. I'll show you the finished ones that I've got. So for example, character we all know and love, the Chamberlain. So there's his card, and here's his figure. This is the fully painted one, so when I've finished. I did this a little ways back. I was really pleased with how that came out. The figures take paint gorgeously. And before I started streaming today, I did a base coat on another copy. So I'm going to finish painting these, and they will be the whole game will be a raffle prize. Show you the other ones. So the general. Or he's the Garthim master, so he's got all these Garthim plates. But I thought, you know, with the series having come out, maybe folks would be interested in this. There's Kira holding Fizzgig. She can actually pass Fizzgig to the other Gelfling. She can pass Fizzgig to Jen, and Fizzgig survives if it's being held by a surviving Gelfling. So yeah, so I started those this morning. I base coated them. They are currently, their base coats are drying. They're sitting over here. And while they dry and are sitting there, I'm going to work on the Highlander game. So the Highlander game is a completely different mechanic. Instead of being a travel around and around, which both Labyrinth and Dark Crystal are, though Dark Crystal is a little more complicated, Highlander is you can fight or you can live, but you can't do both. And if you go fighting, you gain in like power and weapons and stuff. You gain quickening tokens because you're taking heads. You may gain weapons. If you instead just want to live your life, then you gain allies and you gain life experience, which changes your stats in different ways. eventually, once you've hit a certain point in the like era deck, which is how you live a life, the gathering happens, at which point you just start fighting each other. And different cards in the decks will make you go fight the other players. But the fight deck shrinks as you fight each other. So as you fight each other, you roll dice until one of you stops re-rolling. Basically, there are various ways to re-roll. And then whoever won that fight gets to turn over the top card of the fight deck. And if it's the behead card, then your opponent loses and leaves the game. There's an official variant in the rules that says if you want to keep going and have the game be more like longer and be more involved and not have people get knocked out so quickly, if there are other characters still in the box, you can pop another character in and jump in and join the game. So the base game comes with 7 characters. You of course have Connor MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod. I finished painting him a couple of weeks ago. I only get to paint once a week, so. We have Ramirez, of course, with his peacock feather cloak. We have the Kurgan. I actually had bought a new bronze paint before I worked on him, because this is my friend Sarah's copy of the game. I painted my copy of the game a while ago, and I didn't have that bronze paint, so I had used sort of a coppery gold for it. And it looks great. The bronze looks real good. We have Iman Fasil, otherwise known as the boring-looking guy who dies in the car park at the very beginning of the movie. And we have Kastagir, who I'm working on today. I finished my Kastagir ages ago. I was very unhappy with his coat. His coat is this really thin, breezy cotton with just all this plaid, this orange and purple plaid, basically, and ivory bits to it. So when I started Sarah's copy, my friend Sarah's copy, when I did mine originally, I base coated it in purple because purple felt like the dominant color in the plaid, and I based it in purple, and then I painted the orange and sort of ivory over it. It felt muddy. It never felt right. It felt very heavy, and his coat should feel very light because it's actually like translucent material. When you see him walking, the material is not opaque. It's not like blackout curtains or something. It's definitely very thin cotton fabric. It's meant to be very lightweight. And having that purple be the base coat just brought it down. I also found a GIF recently that shows him walking up and like holding his arms out to MacLeod. And it shows him from behind, and then we get a full body shot of the garment itself, which is really neat. And it turns out it's got this big wide white stripe like right at the hip. Who knew? I had said at one point that I was gonna have to like go make my own screenshots, and then someone on Tumblr did it for me, so thanks, random on Tumblr. So I'm working on Sarah's copy right now. It has these 2 white stripes down the middle of the back. They're actually like a shimmery gold thread embroidery worked into that. So we're gonna work with that. I'm gonna do a little bit more striping because it is very dense. There's not as much white as this makes it look. And then I'm gonna try a thing. We'll see if it works. I have washes. I'm actually gonna bring up the stream on I actually remembered to bring my stream, my laptop, so I can watch the stream this time. Didn't have my laptop last week. Felt real stupid. Oh look, an ad for something I'm never gonna watch. I have washes. I have a purple wash, and I have an orange wash. What I'm going to try and do is stripe the washes as additional striping so that some of the white is maintained, but a lighter version of these colors fills in some of that space. We're going to see how that works. It may work real well. It may be a colossal failure, and I'll have to redo it all. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Oh, you're kidding me. It finished the ad and showed me the stream, and then froze, and I restarted it, and it's showing me the same ad again. For The Walking Dead. You know what I don't like? Zombies. Oh, now my music has stopped. The net here is really bad, I think. It's like I completely lost connection. Super duper. Love it. Love it. It's not annoying at all. I'm not allowed to play music. Cool. There is no music in the background of the stream. We like to play music that won't get the VOD muted, but the computer that we can do that off of is not available, so. All right. Let's get the tiniest brush. It's so small. So tiny. Why is this fuzzy? Goodness only knows. It's a fun color scheme to work with. Unfortunately, what I found is that orange and purple, when you layer them together, end up just getting very muddy looking. Just doing a little bit more detail work on him.
The Narson as the next baby. Well, no, it's the Lord Roger, that comic book. Yeah, but I'm saying like you don't need. Well, if you're like vintage, you just play Narson.
I just don't want there to be a whole lot of empty space.
Yeah. I mean, I just said kind of a point, like scandalous kind of monster actor was not very short vintage, right? Like there's a kind of point. So just because it's broken vintage is not necessarily direct order. In this case, no, they're very strong. Door. There's not necessarily a correlation. You get 2 hours.
I could do that too, but
There is less than 20 minutes remaining.
it's simple questions.
And I give you the answer, I will not give you.
Exactly. They have on board discard a after. Yeah. The game's actually going fast. There's that.
I have now staff to say, we should get the internet soon, because after you have it over. I'm basically on the visa and he's new to the process. The visa supposed to go.
I'll let that sit for a little bit.
But no, so I have my water summer tag, summer Europa, Folia, Assay, and MacLeod, and no more Europa. Choose those 7. You can't, that's what I said, keep all those stuff. So those are my staff options. I just want to add all here, he's on the over now.
I was so excited. I had no idea that was real because it just never come up before. And I told Summer Alexa, I was like, oh wow, they're both broken. That's it. Oh, never mind.
I kind of ran that option for all that stuff for Highlander or something. But I wanted to say for she, because she got that in, so I couldn't do it. And then this day, I was like, I got one that will get plus. She's good. The idea that she's going on the chance, like, if you do it on the rat banner, then you get rat as the front side. So it's like a little better.
So I'll swing here for
Although,
one.
no, I would right now is Monkey, Grimnir, one Morgana, Furious, Amina. That seems like, would Monica that list? Mine's broken though. Did you hear Val from
Right.
But I didn't like that. I know it's Owen Tag, Hafez. I just got cars. I didn't get my Juno plug in now because my bar is
For sure. Yeah, easy. That's better. It goes back in your hands. Please do that. Please.
I just called one.
John, I appreciate your arduous process.
Oh, this, okay, I can't move because of this thing.
Oh, it can, because I know it's that.
Sorry, maybe water. Is this the first one, right? There's less than 10 minutes remaining in the round. 10 minutes remaining in the round.
If I don't kill you here, that's it. There's no way I'm gonna. Oh, yeah.
All that tax, 10% tax that?
Okay. Is that your new one?
I know it seems Go to tech. Frontier, bigger, on tech.
This turn was very unfair.
Yes, it is.
We got a lot of things, it's like for a lot less stock than I see. Let's take it off. I like unfair things. No, that tech was good. That tech was real. Man, what was It heals you? It kills your opponent?
But yeah,
But they make really good
This feels a lot more like the fabric of the actual coat to me. That was more of that than I needed. Yeah, I'll do some of the Chamberlain then. That was a whole lot of red brick paint. I did not mean to bloop that much out. But the Chamberlain needs it, so we'll take a little break and do him in a moment.
There's less than 5 minutes remaining in the round. Less than 5 minutes in the round. We're about to go. You want me to watch the whole play? Or are you fair?
I mean, I'm not calling.
Well, okay.
I don't need to work out. I just think there was another round. Alright, I'll respond.
Only natural top 8 is out. We're about to spectating during the round. The rules, unfortunately. I'm not going to.
I said anyone that plays their trap, they can put it away. Nobody has it. Yeah, I have it.
Where's your good guy?
It is important.
The bathroom, yeah, for sure.
It's in there. It's in there somewhere. The main structure. No, I'm going to level 3. Yeah. I was like, wait, were you? I thought you were seeing it. This is my. No, yeah. All good. That's not bad. I'm glad you're conceding. I don't know if that bad. No, I think it's bad. You're totally okay. Very cool.
So it settles that thing of like,
You can't say you've never seen them in the same room at the same time. But it also Monica, so like that doesn't matter for anything.
Let's see if this works.
No, that's fine. Like, I would be 20 on today.
It's probably 18. Most of the world is. I heard Kevin's appreciating how we're good.
What's up?
We're good over here.
Good report. Excellent. Okay, so Destiny 1. Okay. Okay, players, remember, never mention. I want to try this. Raphael fucking wins. Michelangelo Roman wins. Lizzie Carnell wins. Dave Gustafson wins. Is this correct? Does anyone want to drop before round 3 begins?
Oh yeah, well you have more now. You win, 2-2-1, X1 you're in.
Yeah, so there's 2-2-1s right there. Going into this round, X1 and X2, so there's, yeah, sorry, 2-2. Yeah. 4-1.
No, you're right. You're good box. Okay.
Stephen Morrell, is it okay?
That worked so much better than I had any right to expect. Let's try the orange.
Wait, what? Don't worry about that. They're all, wait, they're all super. They're all real gay. Exactly. But still real gay. Still super gay. With the cup.
Okay, Robin Mary. We have Dave Gustafson versus Charles Booth.
No, I'm playing as Overlord.
Mike Roman versus Raphael Buckington. And Jesse Brown versus Steve Hasselhoff. You can go to the you can choose not to go down.
So, what you're telling me is I can win and prevent food from actually going? This is really good incentive for me to win this.
That actually looks really good. I'm really pleased with this.
Excellent.
Play with your bat on the 30. No. I deserve it. I deserve it.
Point is,
We will be waiting for.
Slippery new suit.
I probably wouldn't see it because I don't
Yeah.
but this is too great. Dream crush. Oh, I'm definitely dream crushing.
I really was waiting for home today. Let's take.
Yeah.
Classical like violence.
I don't know. I'm like kind of acting killer.
Only if you're like in the top like 10, but if you're like one of the real good ones, you can find out.
That person didn't develop pretty rapid.
Thank you, Andy. I'm really pleased with how this is coming out. The washes are definitely doing exactly what I wanted them to do.
Everyone ready for rock, paper, scissors? You guys good? You guys ready for rock, paper, scissors?
Sure.
Okay, rock, paper, scissors? Okay. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. 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 Five.
What the hell? How do you do this last round? Are you kidding me?
Don't worry, naturals will go just like we just did.
Except longer. Except to unlock it, because it's about 20 times more for people.
Everybody, post Puddle 5. You guys all set Puddle 5? You guys all set Puddle 5? Yeah, we guys all set Puddle 5.
Stop.
Round 3, you guys have 30 minutes, begin!
Oh boy. Okay.
Is that even good? You just killed it normally.
Yeah, that makes you good.
Many not do. Try building like a legion house. Watch me be a main character.
Jack's cheating. Very
So
good.
plus one soul in the middle, front figures for 1, 2, and a gold bar. I'll take
I
the
know
gold
that's
bar.
if I could get 100 cards, then 20 cards, there's no way.
For 2, and a gold bar. I'll take the one draws card. So 2. Right now? It can't be 2 gold bars, but it can be 2 climaxes for sure. It sure could be.
Well, we have one free draw.
For 2, 2.
It's a single draw. But wait till the second, we'll go like. Out of the free guy.
Just to let you know. I was getting for canceling. I figured out it was ouch.
Well, I did try for the trigger test, so maybe. For bigger. 2.
That was between the reason for the roll
I'm good at this game.
You're good at that?
Have you never played against me before, Fu?
Actually, now
That's why we're here. We don't have to play what? Oh yeah, I forgot about the first Armies.
No, just grab that card. Just real good.
That's always. I might have a 4-star.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's usually how you get like your boat, just you get your little tip of it. We'll put the brainstormer. We will brainstorm.
I regret it.
Yeah, gotta get the crap off the top. How big is your cross? Just a thousand. I guess we'll trade it. Go to attack. Front size square.
Standby is so weird.
Direct.
I've never.
This isn't bad. They don't know about that.
Direct person for the middle, so 1, 2, 3.
Standby.
Yeah, I heard the last two.
You do the classic clock drop to climb. I love those. Love those turns. Those turns are very good.
We have a new fire unit. Like, Classic was the first fire unit.
I swear to God. I'll look at it.
And that's been the joke. All 2019, there's been no fires until like recently. All of the what's the other like it's low rate up?
Yeah, I'm happy with how this looks.
I may have
Like I said, that worked better than I had any right to expect it would. This one is a little dark on the edge here. I'll have to do some highlighting on it, but that's okay. That is manageable.
Yeah, but that's the entertaining part of it. No, the entertaining part is pulling the lever and then getting the. Okay, so I think it's like Uncle Team confidence for a friend play. I'm sure you guys had a lot of fun, and then I closed the game and I said, shut up. And free rolls? I've never free rolls. Free rolls right now? Only one or?
we got 5,000 crystals here. Probably the big time of that same order. Did you make a mobile account with this video or DMR account?
How big is it right now?
So you probably do one with your account. I know you guys found that. Dollars on
Yeah. Front here bigger for 22. Three.
Oh, that.
Yeah, I know what you
I mean, like, you have near Vampy timelines together. Okay, so register your
Packed up shorts.
what is it the registration? And you have less than 4 cards. You have fulfill all of them. Hold your hand. Right, by the way, or the resolution bill, reshuffle. Finish up one. Finish the core, and then go to resolution. Now, do you remember it?
Especially
So you guys have to
if you get one stock for yourself is instantly better than killing one of your monsters.
Timing in this game is kind of weird.
There's less than 20 minutes remaining in the
Kastagir
round.
also 6 travels.
Never finished.
Two.
I have to get here. It's so much.
There's my first one, I'll do my second one.
And then 2
Maybe
misses
you're not gonna
for 1, 2, 3.
You're not gonna do the first one. First one, I'm doing the build one.
Hey, I'll do this one. It's dark. Yeah. My fire team is not good.
That was supposed to be your element.
When all my whale currency. Fully untapped sword. I have a piece of leader in there. We got our 100 rounds on the soldier. It's from Palestine.
This is my one from.
I'm working on my games.
That's all men.
And then, on core, because you're traveling first, I get most of the effects. I'll take the fever effect on this one first. I will use it over, and then you'll chop on this level one Haggis in hand. And then I'll salvage one, salvage character. On this one, I'll do the same thing, I'll roll one, and then flip chop,
Because,
and then I'll salvage.
no, you guys are. So, one of my guilds. Figure out this last class of a grid. Out of one turn with stuff.
I think I do that.
It was a proof of concept thing. You're bringing me garbage. You said it.
Alright, well, maybe I do. Like the face looks familiar.
But it's the highest thing I can do.
Really?
He's higher than Mirror. He's higher than ring 6.
Yeah, you're right. I'm not. Already right.
But you use adaptive TA. And use no guns, so you use like that.
Well, I mean, I have a fucking S on it.
So kills like this TA.
Oh, okay.
And it's in the here.
Yeah. Too much paint.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. Lucha protect, soul and one skill, or not sure what skill. Leader was using, I think, the skill, but I can't remember. It just shows that. That's just perfect.
And it's not even like you can issue. I literally circled
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Okay. There were 2 cards in the stack. Okay, so during the damage stack, choose an resolution zone. Yep. And we're rolling. Now we raise that. One, two, long. So I start shuffling. Oh yeah. Okay. Where's the damage? That was still resolution. Now it's time to shuffle. Finish the damage. Now the problem. I can reset. Now the battle. You have -1 movement. If you had an alarm that gave power. You guys have an additional 1. you go to rule of battle with menu, and when you go to menu, then it says you want to have 4 7. That's how you get 4 per battle. And then if you want to do it for everything, so it's setting this battle all the way to 1. Now, yes and no. Okay, so on the one hand, well, step 1 goes left to right every button, use any button for each thing. Then go left to right on the keyboard. Then left to right on the button. For your damage. Skipping and hit target. Skipping and hit heals. So there are times where, like, if you're using Berserker, it's going left to right, right? So you use Far Hustle and then do it. It's going left to right. Now, let's say you only need to use a nuke spell, right? It's going to use all your buffs and debuffs and nukes. So, or like, there are 4 other teams which I'm using this character specifically, because there is no boss in the so,
that's like pretty, that's harder than I would assume. I would have assumed it just matched on.
also, it has to put on 0 to be used. So, like, and then, like, can't get taken out.
Oh,
No, I haven't got it.
No, like, yours is one fan.
oh,
It has put on 0.
yeah, I was thinking like, you know, like, via anybody who has the entity damage myself to give myself
I will use that.
It will? It won't.
I'll have to put on 0.
It does, yeah.
Oh, I have to put on 0.
I figured it is.
I thought I could use it once. Anyway, if it's 0, it's fast. If it does, you make speed.
That's the best part.
Well, the thing is, like, is better to go a lot of it.
Frontier.
Well, technically yes, but there are fights that
Second
can't
get real big.
Strong enough, sure.
Can you make stories? Probably.
Can
Can
you
you
give
gel? Probably not.
Well, that Indian card, you fucking,
Big dark
a full auto one that's literally stat checks, the whole.
There may be, if you're on like Wind Zephyrus.
For Dark Opus?
You think you can pull out of the hard like
With Wind?
Yeah?
Zephyr?
Really?
The first solo was Wind. This raid we're talking about takes 6 people of level 200 plus to just do it. The chance of prolonging is very low. But like, is it possible? I'm pretty sure someone's working on it right now.
I'm sure someone is working on it.
Like, what I mean by stat check is just like, I just have to slow it.
Yeah, but like, there are people that talk to me about that. Like, there are some I think they're gonna call it. Trying to
You start now. Don't sleep for the next 3 years. You might.
No, it's not. It's usually a robot. It's been on the plane.
You're dead to
Like a few
canceling.
The one thing we're on is like,
Those are cool.
and like, flying attack.
They're both original.
Hey, no, you get coffee.
Yeah, I'm told that the teenage build is flying attack, monthly build, will have a new build. Because I have cereal and police, so combined that gives me 70 bar.
That's pretty cool.
Clarice has a pass that when you get bar, you can just go.
Get a bunch of triggers, all triggers, all triggers.
6 picks. So when I use the plus 30, my MC goes to 36. Plus the 36 cereal is then added to 30 days. So I'm able to do a Clarice cereal by pull my blood and do a 4. But so you can't do that without.
No, not for that.
I'm trying to do that. We're on, but like.
Alright, so 3 damage rip?
We're going to lose bottom. Not because I don't use bottom.
3 sticks. So that goes.
I'm up for that. I'm going to go top. No, top 50.
It's still dire.
You know what I did with my phone?
I believe.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Sweet.
I played that game a lot.
Me too. I can't stop playing. Actually looks really good.
I'm doing it
Well,
with
this game came out
Is it like an official fix?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
There's less than 10 minutes remaining in this round. Less than 10 minutes remaining in this round.
You're on. No clock, obviously, because you guys cannot clock. Time open.
I thought you were still in the play. How's the camera working?
But like,
Yeah, so on Storm Tech, you're on -1 soul, so I'm swinging for 2s. Yeah, so I'll side here for 1, and then look at top 2, and then.
I mean, it's not good to look at about every minute. You just can't buy it.
That was supposed to be wrong. Yeah. He like drew a million climaxes, I tri-fielded and didn't get punished.
This is a report. Raphael won.
What? Yeah, that's not good.
Never get one.
I'm gonna lose because I was stupid and paid my fixed stuff. I just played the game. I didn't think about it.
Are you into flying stuff? You have flying stuff? And then I just started organizing my deck in the order that.
Judge?
what's happening? I'm trying to burn 5 to equip the body, cancel the 5.
I figured money would not. I figured that for the sake of ease that I would order it in the order that it is on my deck list. Chill. Chill. Dave, chill.
Report? Who won?
Disappointment.
Charles, who won is correct.
That is unfortunately correct. I froze the game. I was supposed to win it. I didn't.
I can only do this once, you can stop here.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, you only do it once.
What if I failed that? I'm sorry.
We will be going to the board on a few days, and then we'll figure it out, and that's the 6 that we'll do that at the end of the fence.
You guys,
I can't have this stop it. No, I would kill both your aliens, and then you don't kill me. Yes.
We still have Super 7 days. Yes. It's like a Super 7.
Do you not know how this works, Will?
I know people are
We're talking about me.
We're
We were literally talking about me. You would have 100% died. And you would have just eaten them. Correct.
I hear like the new like fucking thing. I don't know if you were doing last time they had something.
Yeah, I know. No, I You play against me before, you know how this goes. It's fine. Let's do it.
There's less than 5 minutes remaining in the round. Less than 5 minutes remaining in the round.
It's fine. I really did not actually let it go. If I won, I would have. It would have gone into a void, and I would not.
You would have given it to someone in last year's
Yeah. The point was to make sure you don't get it. If you
I
don't
don't
work
play
for
last
it.
game. Last game sucks.
They go to Vermont.
No one goes to Vermont.
I don't love it. I don't have to.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Not correct statement at the moment.
Don't fail that check. I'm now worried that I'm going to fail that check because everybody's talking.
Yeah,
Everyone fails that check.
I'm going to say,
Whole tournament fails that check.
Vermont is slow down. We're out of it.
has there ever been a situation where everyone
No.
That will be really easy.
right now?
We can take history.
Otherwise, I think it's regional. Everyone feels like that. Fires or
No, top 4 fails that check. The other 3 have already left the building.
I mean, everyone's building because I mean, no one.
That's true.
I want to see that. I want to see the email right now. I'm sorry.
Raphael Buccaneers, Lincoln Rebel Rangers, Charles Bruce Wins, Stephen Miller.
Yeah, there was that issue, but I don't know if they have
I'm already ready.
You want to go? No. I know way too much money. There's a lot of things I need to do. I tried. That's way too hard.
Okay. Now I have to next so Roscoe Buckington, Highlander Roman, Nick Stafford, Deck, and translation.
I mean, I think that all the leaders all have the extra experience together. It's broken as hell. He's so tired of everyone else. It's stupid. Yeah, well, I think it's like I have no way to get the enemies are facing are like nothing are me. And my whole party's just like level 20. I just can't even watch this. Yeah, that's understandable. I am very positive.
Carlos Blue, I need your deck, deck translation.
And I assume you haven't used it on my own.
Yeah. I'm ready. I'm already ready. I'm already prepared for that.
I mean, I'm trying to not use the Bible. Yeah, I've used it once because I made a really stupid decision in my character died. So, there's so much gameplay in the game. I'm really looking forward to it. The game's been an absolute blast. Oh yeah, right? I mean, right. Every fire around the game is clearly
I got this pinky there. That's okay. We can repaint.
really stupid. Yeah. Wow, everything is like. I don't think I've ever seen him like anything. Like literally anything. Honestly, I love the characters. That's another solid point right now. I love that.
They all start to grow on you. Like, you eventually go into a thing like, this guy sucks.
And it's, yeah.
If I love this one,
Like, what was it? What's the blue line? Yeah. He's not that. Turned out not. He's not.
I think he looks pretty good. He was already finished. Like in terms of his face and all of that. Because I didn't redo that when I decided to redo his coat. So mostly what I need to do now are the off-white bands. think I just lost internet, so that's super. The stream just went down on my end, and the music just went down, and I don't know if I'm still up. Oh, look, I'm back. Oh, there it goes again. It's a little frustrating. I think both versions of him are done. And I'm pretty pleased with them. Yeah, my net is being cranky. Been up for how long? Hour and a half-ish? Well, they're going to sit for a bit. What say, instead of moving on to the expansion, and we keep working on Dark Crystal for another, like, half hour-ish.
David.
All right. Since we have this very dark red, let's play around with the Chamberlain. So you can see my finished version of the Chamberlain. He's got a lot of like brighter reds up here and then very dark reds down here. I did a frankly enormous and ridiculous amount of research into the look of these characters. This was not a short process painting these guys. I did a lot of research into what their actual like costumes look like. I did have a really great, the timing on it could not have been better, in that the movie was re-released in theaters for a limited run right around the time that I was starting to paint these. I had to shake that more. Red is one of those colors that I always find it looks nice and bright when I put it on, and then it fades much darker afterwards. So I'm going to work for another half hour, then I'll clean up. You see how bright this is going on? And then you look back at it, and it's sort of faded quite a bit.
Also, you're not at 22. This is different than last time you played. I'm going to go on an adventure. I will discard this card when you are. But they're also like they're very quickly trackable. Like you go, okay, yeah, like I don't have the cards that share it down. Well, I played the pocket. Yeah, you go.
That actually works to my advantage with this particular figure, that the red doesn't stay super bright, because I want to build it up. Not every part of it should be super bright, but you do want some differentiation. You do want to be able to build. He needs to dry. He needs to sit for a little bit. I think he's looking okay to start with. He needs to sit.
Yeah, so like, alright, so we were playing a game, right? I have this. Okay, if you were going first at Battleground, you assume I'm playing 3 right, and then what? You're playing, let's say you're playing you see your 2 unbalanced, and then you keep it in your hand, right? And then I go to mulligan, right? And I'm like, oh, oops, I'm playing Jamie. Your first call.
Not the brush I wanted.
certainly not the correct way to turn to random person and go, hey, you don't get one like you are mine.
What I was saying earlier, before I sort of got distracted, was the movie was re-released in theaters right around the same time that I had started working on these figures, my copy of them, which meant I got a really good chance to go see it in the theater and see what all of this looks like in much better definition than just watching the DVD of like the old print in my living room. I am not worried about the fact that I'm using a slightly different color than I did earlier today, because the point of this isn't to match all this up. The point is to give it a base coat so that when I go over it in gold, I don't have to use a billion coats of gold to get some coverage.
That would be really hard. I hate how my first thought was like, oh, that's not good. We were playing our game last night and he played the ball. Oh, that's Hogan. No. The other one. Oh, well. Great.
Because I have to use the more yellowy gold for this because of the way it actually looks on the character. It's almost a sickly greenish, and it has like greenish slime on it. It's almost like he has like a slime mold growing on him that has just become part of his garment.
No one else encouraged me. Someone said Ron. I said, ooh,
And I have a recent hero that talks when I direct attack. And I can roll shock.
Irish Child is only 9.5.
I think that's pretty good.
My original something like that. I wanted 7. Alright, buddy.
I feel like that's inaccurate. So I feel like it's an inaccurate representation. I feel like what happened is like this guy would have like a shooter, like you guys go fight, and then he gets the button and walks away. There's no well, that's the thing, right?
I'm probably going to finish up in about 10 minutes-ish.
Like the last time I did multi
Yeah, getting to sort of pay close attention to what their outfits look like and what fabrics and stuff and textures are involved on a very big screen gives you a much better appreciation for things.
What? That's amazing.
I think he's in good shape here.
I'm in favor of doing that. Stop that. Actually, ate a breakfast already. Going back to my if not, maybe if you have to watch level heroes. Right.
Has not ever been open.
Yeah, but like the year before that, weren't you and Jimmy high?
Oh, it was the year before that.
The Saugus Dream skin that was bad, that I said was bad, and you replaced Y for it, and then you all played it?
No, this sounds great. It's just not good anymore.
I never have to take the Y for it out of my deck because I never wanted to take it.
It's always too far.
Okay, if I want no climax,
Guaranteed to. Make the last one.
guaranteed three. Oh, I think it's fine. The last one is the next one. So if they draw, if they can't fall there, they take the last two. Have you quadruple class scoped somebody yet?
You probably
Never. How are you supposed to get forward?
All right. I think I'm gonna finish up. My eyes are starting to go. I can't really see straight now. I've been looking at very tiny things for a while now. I'm happy with how the base coat on him is coming out. He's looking great. I'm happy with how this is coming out. He's got a lot of like line work to play with. So yeah, happy with those. While I'm waiting for Andy, let's do a base coat on Fizzgig here, and we'll do Jen's hair.
Non-top players, force rank is how force is determined. I need to take a picture of all the top players. So I do need Abington, Mike Roman, and Gavin Cohen. Oh, who's my next winner?
How dare you after I told you you should use them?
Okay.
Yeah, next year I think
When you made top 4, that being said, I also need.
at this point we just don't care. Like, all right, I got my slot. Like if I played my Scuba deck, like if I played my Scuba deck, literally, my favorite card is Swipe. Everybody can tell the rest of it. You're playing the Greeks. Goblin Slayer or Overlord or what?
Like I said,
Either you're trying to get that promo on your deck or you're trying to
We have to wait for
my son to write the deck.
I mean, to be fair, I would do that as well. Again, some people want to hide information. Some people want to just send a message saying, this is what I want to win.
In a 7-man tournament,
This is what I want to win. No, I would try and buy it.
How many people have
Yeah, but somebody can tell me.
Cam, are you a spy?
Oh, that's fair.
oh yeah, it's not that hot. Yeah, I actually wrote them all down. I
Did it to
Anybody wants that?
How does Goblin Slayer beat third impact, baby? Put that shit in your stuff.
They're gonna do it for Abington now? I know you guys have a trip.
We can't let Mike be commissioned.
I don't know if Andy was watching when I said I wanted to finish up, or if he is busy at the counter. He did say it was busy today.
I know you're trying to get through
Text him. Oh, I didn't do his ear. Oh, well. So he actually has very, very dark hair. But what's interesting is he has dark hair that is then highlighted, and it says in like all the descriptions, though, it's highlighted in gray, but they're actually like periwinkle blue sort of streaks to it too, at least in the lighting on the movie. So we're going to do a mid-brown to start with, and then we'll do a wash back down.
I don't even have a sidebar, so. He has this ridiculous card in this right now. Most of the other decks, the rest of the deck's similar. He has, he comes out of these close in the fourth this one? What is it? He's playing one with main deck, which I like as well. I kind of want to go up too, honestly.
I think the base coats on those are all coming out very nicely, though. I'm happy with them. But yeah, this is how I did his hair in my figure. And I think it looks pretty much how I would want it to be. So yeah. So we'll keep working on those. I'm probably not going to work on Dark Crystal all on stream. Highlander I've been trying to keep on stream, but Dark Crystal I need to get done in a very short span of time, and I slow down when I'm on stream. So I'll probably do a lot of that off stream, and right now these guys just need to dry so that I can keep working on them later. So yeah, thank you for watching.